What, you don't know me?
Hell no. Yeah.
Hey, hey, I think that's what I'm saying.
You never know. Y'all keep playing with me and I'll go right there.
Joe Rogan just called out Rampage Jackson's parenting, and the entire fight world is still reeling. In the aftermath of Raja Jackson's explosive in-ring altercation, people expected criticism of Raja himself, but instead, Rogan turned his fire straight at Rampage, the UFC legend and father who was right there ringside. On his podcast, Rogan didn't sugarcoat a thing. He accused Rampage of antagonizing his son, egging him on, and even belittling him when the pressure was at its highest. Instead of de-escalating or showing restraint, Rampage reportedly told Raja not to take disrespect from anyone, a statement Rogan ripped apart as reckless and damaging. Rogan's exact words hit like a haymaker. That's not guidance, that's not being a father, that's pouring gasoline on a fire your kid can't control. And just like that, what was already a viral moment became something much bigger. This wasn't just a story about Raja losing his temper, it was about Rampage Jackson's parenting being dragged into the spotlight. But Rogan wasn't done yet. In fact, his rant only grew harsher, as he laid out exactly why Rampage had crossed the line.
Damn, y'all. It's not looking too good for Buddy. This man can potentially cross over to the other side. The man Rampage Jackson's son put into the hospital.
Rogan doubled down during the conversation, visibly frustrated that Rampage, a veteran of the fight game, should know better. He painted a vivid picture. Rampage wasn't protecting his son's reputation, he was throwing him under the bus for the world to see. Rogan explained that a father's role is to guide, calm, and teach discipline, especially in a brutal, high-pressure sport like MMA. Instead, Rampage allegedly chose to mock Raja, reminding him of moments he'd been belittled, almost daring him to lash out. According to Rogan, that wasn't parenting, it was humiliation disguised as motivation. And he warned that the consequences could follow Raja for the rest of his career. Quote, "The internet doesn't forget. You don't want your kid remembered for losing control because his dad told him to man up in front of millions." Clips of Rogan's rant went viral within hours. Fight fans clipped, shared, and debated it across Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. The more it spread, the louder the backlash grew, not against Raja, but against Rampage himself. So what exactly happened that night in the ring to spark all of this? Let's rewind to the altercation itself.
The incident started small but escalated fast. After a heated exchange in the ring, Raja suddenly snapped, shoving a fellow fighter and shouting as security swarmed in. Cameras caught every second, and fans in the arena couldn't believe what they were seeing. But what made the moment even more shocking wasn't Raja's behavior, it was Rampage's reaction. Instead of pulling his son back or calming him down, Rampage appeared to be smirking from the sidelines. Some witnesses even claimed they heard him shouting things like, "Don't let them talk to you like that." That's when people realized this wasn't a case of a young fighter losing control all on his own. His own father, a man who knows the fight world inside and out, was essentially fueling the fire. And the cameras didn't miss it. Screenshots of Rampage's expressions spread online instantly, with fans writing captions like, "He's loving this," and "Father of the Year, huh?" But if you think Rampage was embarrassed into silence, you'd be wrong, because just days later, he fired back at critics and made things even worse.
Rampage wasted no time clapping back. In a fiery post on X, he tried to set the record straight. "I don't condone my son's actions at all," he wrote. He added that the fighter Raja shoved was fine and recovering, and that people were overreacting. But here's where it backfired. Instead of apologizing or showing humility, Rampage got defensive. He suggested critics didn't understand the pressure his son was under. He hinted that Raja had been disrespected in a way no man should tolerate. To many, it sounded like Rampage was justifying the altercation instead of condemning it.
And with Rogan's rant already making headlines, Rampage's post looked less like damage control and more like confirmation of everything Rogan accused him of. Fans flooded the comments with replies like, "This is literally what Rogan was talking about. You're proving his point. This isn't coaching, it's chaos." And once the internet got involved, the backlash snowballed into something Rampage never saw coming. The internet did what it always does. It turned the situation into both comedy and chaos. Memes of Rampage's smirk spread across Twitter, side by side with captions like, "Encouraging your kid to fail speedrun." Reddit threads exploded with debates about parenting in combat sports, with one viral comment reading, "Imagine if LeBron told Bronny to throw punches instead of play basketball. That's what this looks like." TikTok creators stitched Rogan's rant with footage of the altercation, turning the podcast clip into a trending sound. The hashtag #PoorParenting even started gaining traction alongside Rampage's name. But not everyone was laughing. Some longtime MMA fans defended Rampage, arguing that he was just trying to instill toughness in his son, a lesson many fighters had to learn the hard way. The divide was clear. Was this a father defending his son's pride, or a father embarrassing him on a global stage? And this is where things really got heated, because fighters, celebrities, and even insiders began taking sides. Some backed Rogan, others defended Rampage, and the drama only got uglier. As the story blew up, the fighting community couldn't stay quiet. Fighters who had once shared the stage with Rampage suddenly found themselves answering questions about his parenting. Former champions blasted him, agreeing with Rogan. One veteran fighter said, "It's one thing to hype your son up, it's another to throw him into the fire and then act like you didn't strike the match." But not everyone sided with Rogan. A handful of Rampage's old teammates defended him, saying that his style of tough love had always been misunderstood. That's just how he motivates. He's raw, unfiltered. It's not abuse, it's culture, one insider claimed. Even celebrities outside the fight world chimed in. Some compared Rampage to sports parents who push their kids too far, while others said critics were snowflaking and didn't understand how fighters are raised. The split created a feeding frenzy. Every new quote became another headline. Every podcast became another arena for debate. And through it all, Rogan stood his ground, never backing down from his claim that Rampage was doing serious damage to Raja's future. But while the world debated Rampage, something else was happening behind the scenes. Raja himself was suddenly nowhere to be found. As the controversy spiraled, Raja Jackson vanished. No posts, no interviews, no appearances. Fans began asking, where is he? Some insiders whispered that Rampage was intentionally pulling him out of the spotlight to let the storm die down. Others speculated that Raja was dealing with fallout from sponsors who didn't want their brands tied to viral altercations and parenting scandals. But the silence only made things worse. On social media, people filled in the blanks themselves. Rumors swirled. Was Raja suspended? Was he in legal trouble? Was he even considering leaving the sport altogether? Rogan himself addressed Raja's absence, saying, "This kid is at a crossroads. If he doesn't have the right people guiding him, this could break him." That single sentence amplified the stakes, transforming a scandal into a full-blown cautionary tale. And that word legal wasn't just fan speculation, because soon, talk of lawsuits and criminal charges started dominating the conversation. Here's where the controversy crossed from headlines into something more serious. Legal analysts began weighing in, suggesting that Raja's shove in the ring, especially if classified as an assault, could open the door to lawsuits. One sports lawyer went viral for saying, if the other fighter presses charges, Raja could be on the hook. And if it's proven that Rampage antagonized the situation, it gets even murkier. Fans ran wild with the idea. Was Rampage indirectly responsible for his son's actions? Could Raja face suspension from athletic commissions? Would promoters think twice before booking him again? And through it all, Rogan's rant echoed louder. His criticism wasn't just about parenting anymore. It was about responsibility, liability, and the future of a young fighter's career. But here's where things got even bigger, because suddenly this wasn't just about Raja or Rampage. It became a conversation about parenting across the entire combat sports world. The story transcended Raja Jackson and became a lightning rod for a much bigger debate. How far should parents go in pushing their kids in combat sports? Analysts pointed out that Raja wasn't the first fighter pressured by a parent. Stories of harsh training, public shaming, and aggressive motivation tactics have been around for decades. Rampage just happened to do it in front of cameras, in the middle of a viral moment. The media framed it as a generational clash. Old-school fighters argued that tough love builds champions. Modern voices countered that emotional humiliation destroys young athletes before they ever peak. Podcasts, TV segments, and even mainstream outlets ran with it. Suddenly, Rampage and Raja were no longer just trending on fight blogs. They were the centerpiece of a nationwide conversation about toxic sports parenting. And Rogan, whether intentionally or not, had positioned himself as the voice of reason, the one calling out what others were too afraid to say. And that's what brings us to now, the aftermath, the unanswered questions, and the massive cliffhanger that's left the fight world holding its breath. So where does all this leave the Jackson family? Rampage is still defiant, doubling down that critics don't understand his world. Raja remains silent, caught between a father trying to defend him and a fight community demanding accountability. And Rogan? He's not backing off anytime soon. If anything, his words are being clipped, shared, and amplified more than ever. The legacy of this moment is still being written. Will Raja bounce back, rebuild his image, and prove Rogan wrong? Or will this incident become the turning point that defines him, not as a fighter, but as the son of a legend who couldn't escape his father's shadow? One thing's for sure. This isn't the last we'll hear about Raja, Rampage, or Rogan. The story is still unfolding, and every new comment, every new reaction only adds fuel to the fire. Was Joe Rogan right to call out Rampage's parenting so brutally, or was this an overreaction to a father trying to stand up for his kid? Drop your thoughts below, because this debate isn't going away anytime soon.